when you're sitting with yourself in silence with your eyes closed, you're going to feel all of these tensions moving you away. Right? I mean, there's a Sanskrit word for it. They're called your vasanas. Your vasanas are your inclinations to move you away from yourself. And so there's mental vasanas and there's physical vasanas. And when you sit with yourself, I mean, just like what you said earlier, it just, especially somebody like you and me, that we have these internal struggles, like big time anxiety and fear. I had fear.
I have the constant
fear. It's just
fear.
like when my first couple months in self-inquiry, I thought I was going to take off like a rocket. I mean, I'm just like, dude, just relax into it.
Yep.
And what that does is that when you relax into it, so think of your vasana as like a spring. And we've got a million of these springs, and they're hooked to us, and we're holding them out here. And we're relaxing the energy out of those springs. Our job in self-inquiry, especially at first, especially when you've got bodies like we have that are just holding a ton of tension, you have to just let the energy out of that spring. And if you notice, we put the energy into the spring. The energy is already into the system. Our job is to let that energy relax. There's no new energy into this system. This is a total relaxation, a relinquishment of the energy already stored in our springs. Think of it that way. Another example I love to use is the fist in the palm. We're born these beautiful, free-floating palms. We're just babies, and by the time we're between like 4 and 6, we start to hear our parents say we're cute and we're a boy, and we start to turn our attention away from ourselves, and this beautiful free-floating palm starts to turn into a fist through our teenage years, 20 and 30, and before you know it, here we are. We're a solid rock, and some of us are just tighter than tight, and we don't know how to let it go. But the energy is already in the system. This is a relinquishing of that energy, a relaxation back into every one of those springs that wants to make us get up and move away from here. And at first, there's going to be a million of these things. That's why it feels like it's a rocket you want to take off. And your job is to relinquish into those springs, into that rocket that wants to take you away. And you will notice quickly, because there's so much energy stored in our bodies, especially the ones who have all of this anxiety and fear, we see the fastest results. We experience the relinquishing, the freedom of the mind, and especially of the body. Because once the mind goes, the mind generates the body. So when your mind goes, your body follows. And the moment you experience freedom, especially when I experienced it here, because it sucked, I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this until there is nothing left in this body. And that's when you get a taste of what you've experienced in the past from time to time. Relief. Right? Relief from all this tension. And the moment you have a taste of that, you're done, so to speak, because you realize there is a solution to get to get you to where you already are, right? Because we're not going any place new.
Right. You're right.
We're already here, like you mentioned earlier. The truth has to be here, bliss has to be here, peace has to be here.
Yeah.
It is here.
It's here.
We are it. And this relinquishes the tensions of the ego so that we can experience ourselves directly again as we did as a child. Notice, Mark, that it's not pushing. It's pulling.
Oh, it's pulling.
It's
like a
pulling
black
you
hole.
back. That goes kind of back to like we pushed ourselves out and now we're retracting ourselves back. It's the spring, it's the palm and hand. It's just another way to show that. You can retract back into yourself. Because ego rises out of self. It arises out of being. So you can retract it straight back also. You can, if that's another way to look at it. Because it's...
Yeah, no, when you just said that and did that, something... Yeah, it felt like something retracted back, for sure. Yeah, it's...
But these are good, we talked about a few different so-called techniques or practices while you're sitting with yourself with your eyes closed in silence, right? There could be a turning back to no thing. Remember, you're not an object, so that's where it gets tricky when you turn, because you're looking for something. The more of a retraction could be maybe you're retracting back into nothing. One of the other ones that I used in my earlier days was I would use the mind. I would use the mind's its own trick, so to speak, where I would go within and look for a place that doesn't exist within me, right? Where there is, and it doesn't have to be in me, it's anywhere in my awareness. But you're looking for a place that's dark, doesn't exist. Dark, not like negative dark, just dark. It's a void, it's a vacuum. And you go explore that. And it might only be this big at first. But when you put your attention into the nothingness, it can grow around you. And all of a sudden, this little teeny thing that you thought was nothing is actually something. It's your being. Again, just whatever.
It's intuitive.
Yeah. You're exploring. It's an investigation. It's literally an investigation of your inward mechanisms.
Yeah, that's great to hear.